Hi everyone, my sister's birthday is coming up, so I'm going to make her a birthday card using the Scenic Route Surprise line. I really like this line. It's great for birthdays because it has some birthday images and sentiments in it, but it also is a nice, brightly colored line with some really versatile patterns. This is a birthday stamp set from Inkadinkado. And I really like Inkadinkado stamps. They're one of my favorite stamp companies right now. And I'm just choosing the one I want, which is a little mouse holding a cake, and it says "Got Cake." And I am now going to pick my papers. And I actually am going to use part of the scrap strip, and I'm going to use the candles. I love scrap strips for cards. They're great. They're the perfect size. I'm just selecting a card base. When I finish a scrapbook layout, if I have cardstock scraps and they are either 8.5 by 5.5 or 4.25 by 11 inches, then I will immediately cut them down into a card base, which I keep separate from my other scraps so they're always ready to go. And that's what was in that bag that I was flipping through. So this one's 8.5 by 5.5, so I'm going to score it at 4.25 using my embossing stylus in my plain old Fiskars trimmer, and I'm gonna crease it with my bone folder. And it was slightly off. I think the paper was a little bit bigger than 8.5, so I'm just gonna trim a little sliver off it. There, now it's perfect. And I'm gonna grab that scrap strip and cut the candle piece down. And I don't know why that piece of white cardstock appeared there, but I'm not going to use it, so don't worry about it. And I'm going to just stick the scrap strip to my card. And now I'm going to get a ribbon and add some ribbon. And the editing at this point might get a little choppy because I tried to tie the ribbon around the card and failed miserably because, as I've mentioned before, I am completely incapable of tying a ribbon to save my life. So I ended up untying the knot and running a line of glue on the front of the card where I wanted the ribbon. And then I'm going to wrap it around the card base so you'll be able to see it from the inside, and glue it down on the front and trim the excess so that it makes a band. And now I'm just rubbing up the excess adhesive with my finger. And I'm going to get some memory book glue dots, and I'm going to use them to secure the ribbon. And all I'm doing is sliding the sheet with the glue dots under the ribbon and then pressing the glue dots down and then rubbing the ribbon on top. And that keeps you from being able to see the glue dots. And I'm putting one more glue dot over the seam between the two ends of ribbon. And I'm going to tie this one into a knot, trim the ends, and just stick it to the glue dot. And there it is. Now it looks nice instead of like a mangled horror show, which is what it looks like before. So I'm just going to stick my stamp to my block, and I'm very carefully inking only where it says "Got Milk," or "Got Cake" rather. And normally I would mask, except that there was a pretty big gap actually between the "Got Cake" sentiment and the little mouse, so I felt like I could do it pretty safely without masking. So now I just found the center of the card, which is 3.5 by 5 inches, and I stuck him down, or inked him and stuck him down. And I used black StazOn so I wouldn't have to worry about it smearing. And now I'm just cleaning my stamp with the Hero Arts Ultra Clean and scrubber pad. And I'm getting my Zig two-way writers markers. And I'm coloring in the cherry with a very bright red and the icing on the cupcake with a pink. And then the rest of his body, I'm actually going to chalk in brown. So I'm just grabbing my chalks and a little cotton puff, and I'm going to just chalk in his body in brown. And I'm not worrying about going over the edges because these chalks come up really easily with white eraser. So I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to erase the brown from his eyes. And I'm going to erase the brown from around his body so that he looks nice and neat. And this is about as advanced a technique as I would use with stamps. I'm a pretty basic girl. I don't get too complicated with stamps. So, adding adhesive to the card. And I'm going to stick it inside my card base. And I'm going to use the same pink marker that I used to color in the icing on the cupcake to write my message. And when I sign cards, I always sign with a heart and then my name. And typically, I fill in that heart with this really bright pink marker that I have. In fact, I use that almost exclusively. But I didn't really like how that looked with the orange ribbon, and so I used the same red that I used when I colored in the cherry. And that's a pretty primary red. So the card's done. Let me just do a close-up here. You can see the ribbon and those candles. I love those candles. And there's our little guy. And there's the card. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.